A lot of what you do is like, I just closed a 10K deal, a 15K deal, which is really nice. But is there a vision that you have that you're kind of working towards?
I just have a different perspective, I feel like, than most people, because for me, it's just like a game. I'm just playing this game, and then every day I'm presented with a new problem or new issue that we have to problem solve, and it's just about like playing the game the best.
Today's guest has been blowing up on social media, has got a non-bullshit approach to growing her brand, but also how she's closing high-ticket deals in an unconventional method that you might not have seen before.
Everyone wants to monetize online, but if I, in my videos, say you want to make $100,000 right now on Instagram, this is exactly how to do it.
One of the main things that is very mission-driven for us is about creating great leaders. And now you're actually a leader to other people. When you're hiring family members, how do you make sure you draw the line?
They think that I'm going to be greater than I am.
You believe in what you're doing.
I sell to my team every day. I'm like, you guys, I'm the shit. It's not because I'm egotistical or like a narcissist. It's because if they can see that I have full belief in myself, they too will have that belief. People think that the sale starts the moment that you open your computer and you get onto Zoom. If your branding doesn't directly parallel with the person or the energy, you're fucked.
Welcome to the Lead to Win podcast. Today's guest has been blowing up on social media, has been selling in a very unique way, has got a non-bullshit approach to growing her brand, but also how she's closing high-ticket deals, but in an unconventional method that you might not have seen before. Today's guest is Silva.
What's up, bitch?
And I saw that you post a lot of Stoic quotes. You read the Daily Stoic.
Indeed.
And
you did your homework, sir.
I did do my homework. Have you read any other Stoicism books?
I'm like getting more into that. I don't do the whole reading thing. So I'm more podcast. Peter Crohn's like my guy. He's like more on like consciousness and like personal development and like breaking through like traumas, recognizing triggers, things like that. So like that's like more my guy.
As you earn more and more money, and you'll know this.
Wait, are this on? Oh, we're doing it.
Yeah, we're in. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I thought that we were gonna hit the do.
No, we hit it. It's on.
No, we hit it. Okay. Yep. All right. Sorry.
So back to something that's important to me, which is Stoicism, because I love philosophy. So I read everything from Eastern philosophy, from like Taoism, all the way to Stoicism, and I'm just always fascinated by it. And something that if you've been reading the Daily Stoic, because the Daily Stoic is really digestible, because it's just one paragraph you read. But like something that I would definitely recommend to you is to read Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, because that book is just his personal journal, and you see an emperor's book on how this person was a ruler and how he saw the world.
Yeah.
And it connects. There's a lot of salespeople that actually love Stoicism or are quite introspective, and I think it's definitely connected, because the more you earn, the more you kind of realize it's an internal battle. Rather than just actions, you actually realize, everything that kind of blocks you is internal. So you already had an agency, and now you worked as a closer. What's been the journey to like how you've now been really popular on Instagram, and now you've been blowing up? And obviously, this is one side of your skill, which is your marketing skill. But what got you to your business to this point? How did you get here?
Well, popular on Instagram, I don't know about that. I'm just a girl. I create videos. I talk about my experiences. I talk about what I know. But I originally had my own business, kind of in like social media branding. I originally was a professional athlete. I played soccer in another lifetime. I represented Jamaica at the Women's World Cup in 2018. And so in that lifetime, I was making maybe less than $20,000 or $30,000 a year. So I was like living below poverty, essentially. Yeah. Trying to like pursue this like dream and thing I've been building up for over 20 years of my life. And all for the love of the game, but also like not enough to sustain what I was doing. So in that time, I was really looking to be like a sponsored athlete, because that was a good way to be able to support yourself as an athlete, was to acquire partnerships and sponsorships with Nike, Adidas, all these different brands. And so essentially before I went to the World Cup, I had the opportunity to be presented with a few of those. And I essentially like declined them and decided to go to the World Cup without it, because at that time I had been working so much on building my own brand. So I like started posting content, started doing the things on my own, because I wasn't big enough at the time to get sponsored by those companies. And then I started growing my following, and then those doors kind of opened back up, and I like nicely shut them and was like, no, I think I can do it by myself. So started growing my following from there, just kind of sharing and telling my story. And then was able to, get bigger viewership, get increased engagement, get people to watch and learn from my story. And that over time, like I said, grew that following, grew that influence. And then my DMs went from being about, what game are you playing or who are you playing against or what's the next tournament to how did you get so many followers? How are your views so big? How are you creating this content? How are you doing that? So the DMs changed and the demand was different. So I just decided to supply it. So I started putting a price tag. Like I took calls and put a price tag on it, then like turned it into multiple calls and turned it to more opportunities from there, and then made it a package, and then the package got bigger, and then I put a bigger price point on it, and then sold my own offer, but I sucked at sales at that time. So like I kind of got away with it because I'm, the face, but like I definitely was leaving money on the table. And so I just took hundreds of sales calls, sucked at that, got like a little bit better, got like okay, then like decent, then good, then really good, then like I was like nailing it. I was closing like 90 to 95% of the sales calls I was taking. And then from there, just switch from being a service-based business in that way, like working directly with people to build out their brand and to build out their social media presence, to then switching over to, sales. They say like if you're not happy with your circumstance or you want to change it, sometimes it's the vehicle you're driving, and I wanted to switch vehicles, so I switched over to sales.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So in that time that you were a closer, what specific training did you do which elevated you and you went from like, okay, now you are an okay closer to an incredible closer?
I watched all of my sales calls back with audio, without the audio, with like just the visual, like just different things to hear, my tonality, the way that I was physically like gesturing, things like that. Watch my own sales calls. I watched the bad ones, but I also watched mostly the good ones, because it's like the ones that you're closing, you want to really study like what about is it that you're doing that's getting the close. And so I believe in like strengthening your strengths and hiding your weaknesses and like dominating where you're really great. So I did that a lot. And then I'm going to do a little plug here with Austin Medlin. He's the first person I hired in sales, very underrated like online, but he is really good at what he does. And so he was one of the first people that I hired after taking a lot of these calls to come in and just like be alongside me and kind of be a mentor. And I think mentors need mentors, and he was definitely an instrumental part in that process for me. And then from there, just kept taking sales calls. I'm not a part of the Medallion, Megan Thee Stallion, these different like programs, the Diamond Platinum this and the NPQ that and all these things. Like it's all great, but I think that sometimes we rely too heavily on the influence of other people versus being inspired by what you've been able to experience and learn on your own to create your own thing. And sales is at the end of the day, it's the same. So like all the frameworks are exactly the same. People are like, I've made this, I've made that. The fuck you haven't. Can I say that?
You can say whatever you like. Go as hard as you want.
The fuck you haven't. Because at the end of the day, like sales teaches us, we didn't create sales. So like when you're having these conversations, it's about taking like the different patterns and being able to like turn it into a framework. So I think for me, it was like, I learned a lot of that naturally taking sales calls through just the experience. And then from there, building up my own frameworks. And I don't want to be heavily influenced by other people. So that's why I don't follow people online. I follow 40 people. I don't join the memberships. I don't do the things. I just keep it very tight, and I just take sales calls.
Very nice. And the framework that you promote is the cash framework, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And talk us through it.
Cash closing method. ASMR. Yeah. So cash is stands for C for connect, A for agenda setting, S for struggle, and H for high level promise. The reason that this is my framework, again, I've learned from so many different people, but I keep it simple with 4 elements, like four sections essentially. The connection, I call it connection instead of rapport, because I think that people get that so confused. Rapport building versus like connecting with someone and just like getting right to the point. A sales call is not the place where we're building crazy amounts of rapport. If you are a business owner, an online coach, if you're someone who already has built that rapport with your audience through organic content, which you should have done before they got to the sales call, there is no need for us to shoot the shit for 20 fucking minutes. Like we do not need to sit there and talk. And so some people will watch my videos and be like, wow, you're so dry. Like you're so like straight to the point, so intense. It's like, bitch, you've watched my content for like 3 weeks or 3 months. Like why would I need to come on to this and, tell you my whole story? You practically know it. What I am going to do is be nice and like, be friendly and like be, warm in that way, but I'm not going to spend all this time like building rapport. So like our thing is connecting, keeping it really simple, keeping it tight. This is not the place where I'm here to be your friend. I'm here to actually help you. And I think that's actually what a good friend does, is like they're actually coming in to help you. So we keep the connection really short. I have my agenda setting. This is essentially your frame, just being able to establish 3 major focuses. Number 1, setting you as the authority. Number 2, setting the intention of the call. Why the fuck are we here? and then being able to address the investment aspect from the beginning of the call. A lot of people who end up getting like the sticker shock thing at the end, it's because the investment aspect wasn't trickled in throughout the process, whether that was in the process while you were triaging or in your pre-call sales process of the application and all that sort of stuff. If you didn't trickle it in there, and then at the beginning of this call, at the end of the call, yeah, the person's going to be like, oh, I have to pay for this, or oh, like, it costs like this much. Like that's, I think we can avoid the sticker shock if we can mention it in the first 2 minutes of the call. So we do that in the agenda. And then we have the struggle, which is kind of broken up for us into 3 different sections. It's like struggle, value, and situation. Sales, I feel like, is so interesting because everyone calls it discovery. This section, they call it discovery, like figuring out what's going on with the person, what's the number one pain point, yada, yada, yada. The problem I have with that, though, is that everyone starts asking very technical-based, dry questions, which turns into an interview, versus you really understanding the whole point of that call is to identify the number one struggle that this person's on the call for and what they're struggling with. And a lot of times in sales, we think we need to get clear on the struggle, when in all actuality, we need to get the prospect to understand that they have a problem and they have to like outwardly admit that and vocalize it. And so that section for us is more ethos-based questions. It's more based on the pain, the emotion that they're experiencing to not getting the result they're looking for. So that's like the struggle. We add a little bit of value in my model to increase credibility and make it easy to infuse the benefits of your offer, like your solution or your pitch, into the question, so it doesn't sound so desperate and thirsty. It's like you're literally just like throwing in like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, we just, one of our clients did this, and this. It sounds very similar. Is that the same thing that's going on with you? You kind of just throw that testimonial in there, So we have like a value section. And then we have third, the situation section. So it's like at the end of that, we tackle like, how many times a week are you working out? Do you have a home gym? Are you working out at the gym? Are your kids, this and that? You kind of get through the basic, boring technical questions. But I feel like people who do sales and don't do them well, it's because they lean on those basic technical questions and interviewing versus like the pain.
And a great analogy for this, how you described it, is like you used to play professional football, and every professional footballer still practices a pass all the time. But how many great salespeople still practice sales calls all the time?
Right.
And people who get really good at sales, even like I know many sales directors and CEOs, they don't do this anymore, even though they might jump onto their sales call. But even like the most popular footballer in the world or the best footballer in the world would still go and drill the basic things.
Right.
And most people forget that analogy, how it actually transfers across.
Yeah, exactly. So we have the struggle, and then the last part of that is the high-level promise. This is where you do pitch the sales call, pitch. This is where you pitch the solution. And we refer to it as a high-level promise because it's a promise you're making to someone that you're going to fulfill and deliver on this thing, but it's equally just as much of a promise that they are making to you to fulfill their end of the bargain to get it done. I think a lot of people confuse the idea of you give me money, so I have to do something for you. And because of that, the expectations, I think, get crossed. Whereas like when you walk through a high-level promise, you're essentially making a promise, and a promise is usually between two people, even if it's with yourself. Like if you're promising something with yourself, you are holding yourself accountable, right? But if I'm making a promise to you today to deliver on something, it's you and I in this relationship have to promise to both participate in this actively and with the same energy in order to get the result that you are looking for. So we walk through that, and that's like a 5-step infrastructure on how to properly articulate your pitch, essentially.
Really nice. And look, how I would define intelligence is just making anything that others complicate, make it simple. It doesn't need to be, you've got a degree or a PhD in anything. It's actually just making complex things really simple. And when you can just make a sales call sound so simple, it allows others to learn it. And the one thing which is really, I think a lot of people resonate within your content, which is probably why you've grown well. I mean, obviously I know you probably want to grow even more. It would mainly because you make it seem simple. And most people overcomplicate things. Even I have a habit of overcomplicating things because we think about a CEO struggle and all these things that they need for a sales team management. And it can get complex, whether you're talking about sales ops and CRMs and systems and tech, and you seem to overcomplicate it. But in the end of the day, just selling should be just a passing of information and passing of knowledge. And when you can just make it digestible, I think a lot of people resonate with that.
Yeah.
So the frameworks that you're teaching people are really to simplify sales.
Yeah.
And who are you actually helping? Who is it that the people that you're actually finding are jumping onto sales calls and are telling you, hey, Lo, I need all this help from you? Like, who are you helping?
Mostly coaches. So I always tell people, like, there's obviously different ways that you can fulfill in sales, but I mainly work with coaches. Like either they are a solopreneur, like it's just them, or they're kind of like just building out a team and they just want to learn the asset. Like they want to learn high ticket sales. They have an offer, they're trying to increase the price point. They don't feel comfortable pitching it for $3K for the first time ever. So they hire me to come in and teach them how to do that. But then I also work with the coaches who already have sales teams and kind of come in as like a sales manager, director, like ish. I just really work with them on, one, looking at their back end process, like seeing if it's set up to qualify leads, well enough and look at, the back end ops of everything. But training their sales reps, setters, and closers to close on sales calls, close in the DMs, or set calls better, triage better. So I trained those guys. I do get a lot of closers and setters that come to me. And it's been interesting because a lot of the coaches I'm working with right now are like, do you have closers? Like, do you have people that you're training that you can help us with? And I'm like, that's not really my space, but I'm kind of like opening up that door now to hopefully potentially create some connections where if we have great closers and great setters because they're trained by me and my coaches that work with me love what I do, then they can get together and build something great together.
Really nice. It'll probably turn into one business feeds the other.
Yeah.
And like when you think about your business now, is it more mission driven or is it like, hey, I'm actually making money and there's nothing wrong with that either and I just want to be making money? Because a lot of what you do is like, I just closed a 10K deal, a 15K deal, which is really nice. But is there a vision that you have that you're kind of working towards?
For me, I just have a different perspective, I feel like, than most people, because for me, it's just like a game. Like, I'm just playing this game, and then every day I'm presented with a new problem or new issue that we have to problem solve, and it's just about, like, playing the game the best. So, in my eyes, it's like, it's more like, this is the game. Like, anytime like, there's something wrong happens in the business, and people are like, we're a little bit stressed out, I'm like, guys, this is the game. Like, let's figure this out together. So, I'm just playing the game, and I think it's like it's fun. It's great to like be able to build a team, to build something I enjoy. I believe in like family-owned businesses. So like my mom and my older sister both work for me as well. So there's a bigger purpose and drive behind what I do as well. But I think it's just a game, and it's like it's fun, and I love sales, and I love like what I do. So to be able to like, when I get on calls with people who want to work with me and they're just like so enthusiastic, so ready to get after it, like I'm just like, for me, it's like, how do I make my product better and better and better so I can just really over deliver and just be the best? Like I really want to be not the best in terms of competition because I'm big on collaborating over competing, but I want to be naturally like really good at the thing I'm doing. So I'm like gonna just do everything I possibly can to make that happen.
Yeah, and the word that kind of comes across is more playful. So rather, if you see it as a game and you want to be, you want to be really good at it, people would see that it's quite playful and they'll be drawn to a no bullshit approach, but it also can be fun as well.
Yeah.
And like with your Instagram, you've grown recently. I think you've grown since I've been following you. So how much time are you putting into content and then sales? Like how does it all link together?
So I'm branding first over everything, like I would say over the business second, because you can change the vehicle as long as you have the branding.
Yeah, that's really
so you can move into anything you really want. Like at this point, the business that I built, I know I could rebuild it from the ground up. Like if I scratched it, went to zero, had nothing, I know I could rebuild it because the branding is so strong. So branding for me is actually like, I would say 60 to 70% of the energy that I spend in my business is based on that aspect, like the marketing, the content creation behind it. Because the branding is the hardest thing for most people to capture. Most people have a really great product. Their brandings fucking suck. Like the branding is horrible. And it is the hardest thing to build because you do have to have a bit of that X factor or understand what you need or how you need to present in order to attract and bring in the people that, can resonate most with you. And I do think because I just have like a I don't give a fuck mentality, it really does attract the people who want to not give a fuck. They probably do. And they're like, I love how much she doesn't give a fuck. Like she has zero fucks about certain things. I'm just gonna keep saying the word fuck a million times. But like they understand that I have a perspective and I feel they can see the confidence, the sureness. I kind of ooze of that conviction and they lack that and they want that. So usually when I can present myself with that light, that's where I find my people that want to work with me directly. And everyone's brand is going to be different, but I spend 60, 70% of my time every week on marketing, branding, content, sitting down and reflecting on how that's being presented, how it's being perceived. what different ways can I create content to hit the mainstream. Like, you have to present your message in a way that your audience can receive it. And I feel like that is what people struggle with when it comes to creating content.
Yeah, I agree. It is a big struggle for a lot of people. Even if you look at the intelligence of so many businesses or the size of them, they've still not figured out how to do branding. Now, what you mentioned, the people who come to you mainly want that attitude, or they don't want to give a fuck in the future. What else do they need? What do you think they think they need compared to what they actually need?
You're saying for like success with content?
No, these business owners who actually come to you, they come to you because, oh, they might need, or do I need a sales team, or do I just need to learn how to sell? The main thing that you teach them is how to sell, but what do they think they need?
Most people feel like they need a closer and setter right now in their company. And this is like such a funny topic because I've had multiple sales calls recently where people are like, I need a sales team right now. I need a setter. I need a closer. It's exhausting. I can't take any more sales calls. Like, my DMs are flooded with people. Like, I'm exhausted. I'm like, cool. What's your current MRR? Or what are you currently just generating right now in revenue every single month? They're like, oh, 20 grand. I'm like, oh, sweetheart. Like, if you brought in a closer to close your deals, and let's say they close every one of those deals, so $20,000 worth of deals in a month, this closer at 10% commission, which is totally typical, is only bringing in $2,000. Do you think a high quality closer is going to want to come into your company and close for your offer? No, like, it's not a way for them to live sustainably. Now, if someone's kind of getting into like the industry and they want to get their feet wet, sure, but get ready for a mid closer, someone who's kind of learning and growing. And then if they can learn and grow underneath your business and they turn into a rock star, like, that's the best. Like, you kind of want to be able to spot like the talent and be able to nurture and grow someone. But I mean, like, realistically, you're not going to get that top talent. So most people, like, they think that they want the setter and closer, but really, like, you have to think, is your calendar really booked with all these calls? Are your DMs really flooded with qualified leads? It's usually it's not just, it's more so focused on like lead gen, the content to curate, the content you have to curate to bring in the high paying client that wants to be on your calendar, that's going to show up to the calls, that is ready to pay at the price point you'd like. And I feel like if you at 20K a month, you're not necessarily having a sales issue, you have more of a lead gen issue, or like your sales process, like your vetting process, your triaging process, qualifying of the leads isn't great. But it's usually not that you need a setter and closer. It's helpful, but like, you don't really have that many calls in your calendar if you're making $20,000 a month. If you have a higher ticket offer, if you have an offer that's $100, then like, you're killing it.
When would be the right time to bring in, let's say, a setter or a closer for you?
I think like, it's not so much based off price point. Like, I want to make this clear, because just because you're making $50,000 a month doesn't mean that you're ready to bring in a closer. It depends on your offer. If you have one offer and it's $50K and you sell one of those a month, you don't need a closer. If you have an offer that's $5,000 or $3,000 and you're generating $60,000, $70,000, like, and then you're trying to focus on, your intention of your business is to scale it or build it in a different way, and you'd like to delegate that task because it's taking up or consuming too much of your time, you're focusing on facilitating, then I think it depends on that. But it's like, price point wise is one thing, or not price point wise, but like, your current monthly revenue doesn't always dictate whether or not you're ready to bring on a sales team. I think it's like, you have to have enough leads that are qualified enough for the most part. You have to have like the data behind it to prove it. What are your KPIs looking like? How many calls are booked? How many actually show up? Of the ones that show up, how many of them are closing? You have to have that dialed in and do that consistently for like 3 months, generate 100K, and then be like, all right, I'm ready to bring in like the sales team. And you yourself need to be setting in your own DMs, closing your own DMs, closing your own sales calls, because those are the frameworks when they work, and you get them dialed in, that you would pass on to the setter and closer that they would use to facilitate the DMs and the sales calls. Otherwise, they have nothing to be trained on, and they need to understand like how you want things to be done. So I often find that people pass off the responsibility way sooner than like they're prepared to or should be, because they themselves haven't even done these things.
Very nice. And when we look at a business, we think about, let's say, when do you need a setter, when you need a closer. A lot of the times it's easy if you put like a number on it. When it's hard to put it on revenue, you're correct, because if someone sells a 5K offer or a 50K offer, you can't put a number on it. So what we commonly do is, with setters, you need a full-time setter when you've got 20 leads per day, because then you know that you can provide 600 leads to a setter where they can now set them. And then for a closer, if you're a business owner taking more than, let's say, 10 to 12 sales calls per week, like if you had 20 sales calls in a week, 5 of them won't show up, 15 of them show up, you'll close 3, 5 of them, let's say 30%. And if you've closed 5 deals and you had 20 hours booked out, it's no longer optimal for your calendar.
Right.
So now we find the tipping point on like, where is it that you need to hire a setter closer? And even for a sales manager, when is it that you are running so many meetings and processes and QC, you're not doing it enough to need a sales manager, and then again for a sales director.
Yeah, like if you're having like 8 calls on your calendar every single day, and you're facilitating with clients, and you're creating content, and you're managing a team, and you're doing all these things, like, okay, great. Like that makes sense to have a closer come in. And then also making sure that those are shows, like they're not ghosting you or not showing up to the call. So if you're having 8 calls and of the 8, 7 are actually showing up, and of the 7, like you're closing, over 40% of those people, it's like, okay, great. And as the owner, you should be closing at 70%, like usually. Like if you're the owner and you're the one taking the sales calls.
Is that from organic ads or all?
I would say honestly, I would say all, but I would say more specifically organic. Like when your audience is warm, it's easier to close that audience, because through paid ads, maybe someone has seen a few of your paid ads, maybe they just saw one of them and came through, so the leads are definitely going to be colder. I call them like lukewarm leads. Like they're like, I've seen her, meh. Like I'm on her calendar, meh. Whereas like the warm people are like, they've been watching my stuff, they booked that call, they know my price points, they know the intention, so really they have a credit card ready to make a payment on call, which is why my conversion rate is like over 95%.
So your sales calls, you close at a high rate because of the nurturing process that you spend so much time in branding and everything on that side. And then if someone was running a cold ad, and you can track their journey in cold ads very easily, which is harder to do on organic, and you'll see that they've just seen one ad, consumed a couple of your emails, what closing rate would you say for those people?
So we only run paid ads, which we just started. We've done like 3 million all organic. Like we've never made money from paid ads. We just started running ads, and every time that we've tried to do them, our organic has fucking destroyed the paid. Like the numbers are just wild. But we've recently now started running paid ads, and we don't do it to a cold audience. We're doing it we are running it directly, retargeting to our audience who already is following us or has seen our content. So again, it's more so a touch point than it is like a cold audience. We're gonna open it up to a cold audience, and I have done some where I've done it to cold, but it's not for sales calls. It's not an ad to book a call. The ad is to my page.
Follow ads.
It's just to my page.
It's just follow ads.
Yeah, like it's like come to the page, because the proof of concept we have is that people who follow me are more likely to buy. A lot of them buy because of the credibility, trust that's earned through the content that's been created. We've already established that relationship. So if that works for us organically, it must work with paid ads. So if we just bring more people to see, like more eyes to our page, then the same trend will occur as well.
Yeah, the logic does work. Look, if you run follow ads and you have a good brand, naturally you want people to see you in your best light. And then usually the way to scale your follow ads is with people, because you need DM setters and you need people messaging those new followers. So usually the difference in infrastructure is when you run a call funnel, you'll find that people book straight into a call, which skips the setting process at times.
Yeah.
But then with a follow ad, you need manual labor. So you need to manage more people. And then the difference in the cost of acquisition that you're not paying for a call, you're paying to a setter.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So it's just in a different way around, but it's going to probably work for you because you've got...
I run them all and I teach them all. Like I've done them all. And I think like, it's just about learning, like if you're trying to run a low ticket product, like we have a $3,000 course, right? That's like the thing, like coaches coaching coaches right now who coach coaches, right? So I'm kind of one of them.
Where are you in the cycle?
I'm at the top actually, because I'm like the coach that's coaching the coaches coaching the coaching programs. You know, it's like, because like sales, it's just a whole different thing. But I mean, essentially, like we run all those different types of setups, and you don't want to have like a low ticket product, 3,000, 5,000, whatever, having a book to call directly to a click to close type of situation, because you don't have enough of that credibility, especially if you're going to like a colder audience. So for us, it's about data. Like literally business is a fucking game. Like it's all about data. You just have to run the ad. Don't do an ad to, an ad creative to a book a call, or an ad creative to click to close, or a lookalike audience, or do I want to do it to a cold audience, or do I want to retarget? It's about like the game and trying to figure out and get that data, reflect on it, come back to it. Ooh, this works. Let me double down, triple down on this thing. And you have to be able to have the insight and the testing and the operational brain, I would say, to like not like facilitate it, yes, but like see it for what it is.
One reason why I wanted to invite you on is I always think about our audience and what value can you share. Like we have most of our audience is CEOs and they're already making a lot of money. But I think one of the key areas of value that you share, and probably a skill that you have, which is more than just a sales framework, it is how you've put emphasis into branding and content, and that allows you to sell. And most people just see content as marketing, and they don't see the synergy between sales and marketing. It's just two completely silos. But how you've kind of seen it is like my sales process actually starts when you watch my content.
Yeah.
So what thought process do you put into making content well in advance to think, okay, this is going to make sure people buy?
Is this thing on? Because I'm about to go in on this topic.
You go as hard as you want.
Yeah, so it's so interesting because people think that the sale starts the moment that you open your computer and you get onto Zoom, and it's like, here I am presenting the opportunity. First of all, if your branding doesn't directly parallel with the person or the energy, even if it's not you and it's a closer, if those two do not match, you're fucked. Like, you can't have like low black hat energy, like bringing the swag, bringing the heat, bringing the spice, and then get on a sales call with like Susan from Kentucky. You know, it's like, it just doesn't go. So the branding also has to like, you know, you have to present something online, but you also have to parallel that on the sales call.
It reminds me of a plastic surgery offer that we just did at the moment for a plastic surgery clinic, and we got all the closers to dress up as doctors.
Yeah, okay, but seriously, like, you're not gonna like go talk to some random person who's wearing a polo and be like, who is this person? Like, you don't trust them, you don't know what they're doing. It's like, you need to look the part, be the part, where, you know, have the branding down. So that for me is like, that's like off the rip. Like if you don't, like if black isn't in your closet, you probably don't belong on my team. Like if that's not your like core outfit, it's probably like not a good fit. But when it comes to your branding, your first point of contact is your initial sales point. So if someone is going to be watching my videos, that is my first opportunity to sales you right there. I get to earn your business the moment you see my video you scroll on TikTok or Instagram when I pop up. That's my first initial contact point. That's my first opportunity to sell you on me. And it's not even just the words that are coming out of my mouth and the intellectual property I'm sharing or the value I'm providing. It is simply the likeness. Like you talk about this new NIL deal with like athletes. That is the essence of the content you're creating is your name, image, and likeness. And likeness being like, people have to fuck with you. They have to like you. They have to be into you. If they're not, my value could be so good, but you're not gonna resonate with me because you're like, she looks like everyone else. The pattern disrupt is the contrast. Like when I get on camera and I'm like, listen, motherfucker, I need you to just stop selling like that, okay? I just need that, okay? Like if I can bring a bit of that wit, that humor, that lowism, that personality piece, and then still provide the same value you would provide. We teach the same shit. Like, we can talk about frameworks all day long, like, cool, like, just do discovery, do this. But if I teach it my way, someone might really resonate with my branding in particular. They're like, I like that she's so direct, straight to the point, no bullshit. Like, you can tell she's authentic. You can tell she doesn't give a fuck. That's my girl. Someone else will watch that and say, she's a little bit too forward. It's a little bit aggressive. It's not really my style. It's giving masculine. That's great. Like, I feel no type of way. Your dislike towards me is beautiful because it's so contrasting because the people who love me are for me. You don't like me as much, I have no hate towards you because there's someone else out there who has a message to share with you that you would maybe better learn from, and maybe that's not me. And that's okay. So that's why, again, there's no competition. It's all collaboration because my client is not yours and your client is not mine.
Okay, very nice. And the question that I really wanted to dig into, I think you kind of encompassed it quite well, but when you're going to engineer your content rather than saying what you're doing, how are you judging what content do I need to make specifically to make sure people feel that way? So you're saying, I give off this energy, which people, I don't give a fuck. But do you look through your data? Do you think like, okay, this post as well, I'm going to do it like this? Or how are you, like, do you and your person who's managing your social media, do you think?
That's me and my team, by the way.
Okay.
Everything is in-house. We don't outsource anything.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And then in-house, what does your content meeting look like to say, oh, that was good, that worked, that didn't work?
Yeah, we spend about 4 hours a week. Like, I would say we spend 4 hours a week every single week right now on a minimum of just reflecting content and looking at content we've curated for that week. And we do it multiple times in the week because most people, they batch content and then they post it over a month. But whatever was relevant, you know, at that time may not be relevant in the future. So we do that. And so we have multiple calls in the week where we adjust content and shift content to touch on what needs to be posted and how we're seeing things on the page are moving. If a certain topic is doing really well and we maybe put a very similar video like later next week, but we see it's doing well, we might move it up instead. So we spend a lot of time like reviewing and reflecting the content that was already created, that we've created, or I would say we, but I have created and my team has helped me execute on, to be able to make those shifts in real time. That's the first thing. The second thing that we do is we narrow in our content categories on what we want to post that we know will do well. For us, it's long form on Instagram and TikTok, so not on YouTube for all the people who are gonna come for me right now.
So you're posting long form on Instagram?
It's when we say long form for Instagram and TikTok, I'm talking like 90-second videos, over a minute, things like that, not YouTube formatted videos, so like don't come for my neck. But short form being like videos that are gonna be more like 6 seconds, 13 seconds. They could be like what we call like one-liners, like I call it like a dime, like something that's just like, wow, that was like really powerful. Or it could be a short form video with like a trend or an audio over top of it with like a really polarizing headline and perspective. And then the third one we focus on is like the carousels, where you can have information-based type stuff and have like the slides and people can look through those. So we mainly focus on those categories, but when it comes to us filming and curating the content, we figure out the 3 major topics within our niche, like the sub niches. People think it's like sales. It's like, yeah, we talk about sales, no shit. But what about the aspects within sales are the most polarizing or most specific things that people are wanting to hear? And I reflect on that. And it's funny because we ingrain what people want to hear, but the message we want to deliver. And I think that that's where people get it wrong, because they're like, I'm gonna go viral. So they focus on what people want, but then they get the shitty clients because they don't have a way of being able to sift through the noise, because the content just delivers on the instant gratification that someone's looking for versus the true lesson and value that they need to hear.
Can you give me an example of this, like a tangible example?
Yeah, like you want to go viral, you want to monetize online. Like everyone wants to monetize online. But if I, in my videos, say you want to make $100,000 right now on Instagram, you want to monetize on Instagram, this is exactly how to do it. When I go to explain my process, I'm going to show them the real answer to being able to monetize it, but the initial headline or hook, it might be the instant gratification they think that they're looking for. So it's being able to, what I call solving $2 problems with a headline like that is going to be for the cheap client, the person who cuts corners, the person who wants the quick fixes. A $2 headline with a $20,000 explanation or a $20,000 breakdown. That's the client I want to attract.
Yeah, it's like a bait and switch, so you hook them in.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda. It's just like it's just making it more mainstream. So, and it's also being intentional, because not every one of my videos do I do that. We also focus on $2,000 headlines, which would be just upping the language. What I mean by that is if I created a video to say, want to close more sales calls, that for me is like it's not a $200 problem, it's a big problem, but it's like a simpler headline. Versus if I said, if I want to speak directly to coaches who are struggling to find their high paying client, I would say, how to generate high-paying clients from content, or lead generation, like how to close higher-paying clients, or how to fix your lead gen problem. So if I use the word lead gen versus like how to close clients, it's just a different bracket of person. I'm just speaking to someone who's been in the game a little bit longer, so lead gen is going to hit for them more than close more sales calls, and just in a different way. So that's what I mean by like increasing the budget, or essentially the price point of the problem that you're solving, with speaking the language to the person who's experiencing that problem.
Really nice. And I think in sales you have this journey which is like, look, you're good at content, you're good at branding, and then you have all these people around you, like you've been hiring your family. And one of the main things that is very mission driven for us is about creating great leaders. So now you're actually a leader to other people, not just on your content, but actually to people within your business. So when you're hiring family members, I'm just curious, how are you showing up as a leader for them? How do you make sure you draw the line for your family that you hire? And also, how do you see yourself as a leader?
Yeah, it's so interesting because people say like business isn't personal and like you shouldn't mix those two things together. But I really believe that business is 100% relational. It is like, business is relationships.
Yeah.
So, and people don't want to mix it with family because they think it gets too sensitive and it gets too difficult and people, take advantage and don't work as hard and so on and so forth. I do think it does require, though, a certain type of personality and a certain type of dynamic to be able to do that. As much as I love my mom and my sister and I view them as my mom and my sister, I also have the ability to compartmentalize my work and my play. Like my in the business, on our meetings, really getting into some heavy shit, having hard conversations, and then being able to go home and have my mom make me, chicken thighs and a salad and, us like, put on some music, some Whitney Houston, and like dance in the house. So I do think it does require a certain type of personality, because I do have the ability to compartmentalize a lot of things, like with a lot of people in a lot of different situations. Like you could do me wrong right now, but we could also talk business. Like I could do both I could do those at the same exact time. So I do think it requires like a little bit of dissociation to be able to do that. But I think that is why we have that dynamic, is because I have that ability. And then it's also about being able to communicate the expectations and culture that you do expect, and having the respect of those people. Like my mom and my sister highly, highly respect what I do. And actually they care more about my business than I do. Like, which I know doesn't really exist. Like I still care more about it because it's mine. But they would rather, like when times were tough, or when they first kind of got into the business and our income looked a little bit different than it does now, it was like newer to me, newer to them. Like they were not wanting to take a salary from the business to make sure that it was growing. Like they were prioritizing the business more than
incredible.
Right, more than, I think most people who are in that situation would. When you have an employee and they're not your family member, they really don't give a fuck about your business. Not really, not at that point, until they've established that rapport and trust with you and credibility over time. So I already have that trust and rapport with my family, but for them to care about it also takes a certain type of person on their end to understand the long-term goal and the long-term success. And I think because they believe so much in me, and they believe that they think that I'm going to be greater than I am. Like they hype me up more than I do myself, which I'm working on. But like they are like, yeah,
they believe in you. They believe in your mission.
Yeah.
They believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference between culture, because culture is defined by how do people behave when you're not there. And your team will still be working when you're not there. No different to when you think about a sales, when you think about closers, and lead flow suddenly stops. Something happens in terms of marketing. And in
they're like this.
Yes. And in a great business that has culture, you know what those closers do? They'll say, you know what, we'll start dialing. We'll just call leads. We'll just chase our old leads. But in a poor culture business, they're like, oh, leads are gone. We're just going to go and find another offer. And that's why culture is so important, because every business will have struggles, now would have tough days. And in that time, that's when you need to have developed that culture, which is actually the hardest part in a business to build.
And this is why I was saying people who want to hire setters and closers, but cannot even establish this culture or this space for them to want to work for them. It's like, you're like, yeah, well, they'll just come in like, they should be grateful to have an offer. It's like, no, you need to earn their business too. Like you have to sell yourself on your business first. You have to sell your team on the business as well. It's not about just they get an opportunity, they should be lucky. It's like, no, you have to make it worth it for them to be there. You have to make it like, yo, I'm gonna be the absolute best. Like I sell to my team every day. I'm like, you guys, I'm the shit. It's not because I'm like egotistical or like a narcissist. It's because if they can see that I have full belief in myself and I can sell them on this idea, that they too will have that belief too. If I'm walking around and I'm just like, stuff is tough, like I don't know how it's gonna be, guys, like I don't know, I'm insecure, they're gonna feel insecure too, and they're not gonna want to work for me. They're gonna be like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, you have to be delusional and optimistic at the same time.
Right.
So, and everyone buys into it because they know that if you say it, it will happen.
Yeah.
And they buy into your mission. I actually have something for you. Let me just get it for you.
Is it candy?
Oh, it's not candy. It's not.
Then I don't want it.
Candy?
I don't want it.
You do have chocolate for you, by the way.
Wait, do you?
There is chocolate here for you.
No, it's not the same. I thought you brought it from the UK. It felt really special just now.
I think you will love this.
Didn't come correct.
You don't know that you will love it yet.
Is it a book? Because I don't read.
Okay, you don't read, but you read the Daily Stoic.
Yeah.
And this is Marcus Aurelius' Meditations book. This is actually my personal copy.
What?
So you'll think initially, I don't read.
Are you brown nosing me right now? Because I'm about to be famous, and you're like, let me get in while I can.
I think both of our noses are brown enough. But, yeah. So
that was actually really good.
So this book, when I was telling you about because you read Stoicism, and a lot of those lessons that you read in Stoicism actually come from this book, and you were posting them in the last few days. You posted and each day it gives you the message.
Yeah.
One of them was actually from this book, and when you read this book,
I feel like I've seen his quotes in there though a few times.
Every week there's at least one of them.
Yeah.
And this is not a hard read, the book, but when you read it, you'll start to resonate with things that this person used to think with, and the way he thinks. And even if you've been resistant to reading a book, like I am as well, I'll be honest, I actually hate reading.
No, I'm just like being annoying about it. Like I'm trying to get into reading. Reading is the fundamental.
This is your sign then. So you don't have to read this book, but I know you having it, to me, I carry this book specifically everywhere I go. And I've traveled recently for 4 or 5 different countries. So I just know it will benefit you a lot.
Oh, thank you. I feel really honored right now. Seriously, I've been trying to get a lot into that space and just diving into that a bit deeper. So, and I feel like most people, they meet me, they're like, you're definitely a Stoic. And I'm like, at first when I heard that a few years ago, I was like, what do you mean? Because I didn't understand. Like, I understand what Stoic mean, like the word, like, you know, someone's like, you look kind of Stoic, but like not at that, not like the practice. And they're like, yeah, you pretty much live your life this way. And I was like, I didn't know that it was like a thing. And then I was like, oh, like, makes sense.
People would always describe me as Stoic. And then what I've been learning is kind of how to be still, which is very hard as a business owner, because every minute you're not working, you think about how can I do more work? How can I do something to make more money? And then eventually you realize stillness has also got a skill to it as well. But it's been really nice having you on the podcast. I think one thing that's been good to have you on is been showing up. You okay?
Yeah, no, sorry, what? Sorry. Sorry.
It's been really nice having you on the podcast, mainly because the reason what I spotted was there's people out there who are leaders, but they don't know it. They don't see themselves as a title of a leader. And everything that I do is all about sales leadership. So it's not about, oh, hey, you're teaching sales online. That's actually not a part of the content. It's more around, hey, you're into sales, but you're leading a lot of people. And if you think about the amount of coaches and people that you help and the content that you make, it actually trickles down and helps hundreds and millions of people. Because if you have a certain following and only 1,000 people see that, but if that 1,000 people, 10 of them absorb the message and pass it on, it's like that domino effect of what creates a better world.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on.
That was beautiful.
Thanks for listening to the Lead to Win podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, like, share, subscribe, comment below on anything that you've had as a massive takeaway, and I'll catch you on the next one.